It's Transformers96 here with another review. This time we have the Marvel Legends first wave of 2015, with the Build-A-Figure being the All-Father Odin or King Thor. We have Scarlet Witch. So yeah, so overall here's the box. Like I said, I'm a big fan of this box styling. I think it's quite nice and looks good. She has like a variant running change, whatever you want to call it. It is Captain Marvel. As you can see, her picture on one side, and on the other side we have Scarlet Witch. Very nice artwork of Scarlet Witch. On the back you get a figure. You get a picture of both of the figures that are the variants, basically. A very small little bio of them as well. And then the other figures in the assortment, I did get them all except for Captain Marvel. I cannot find Captain Marvel. I'm surprised I haven't found her yet. I'm still looking. Hopefully I'll get her soon. But for now, she's the one I'm missing. And but it really didn't matter because I did want to Build-A-Figure Odin instead of King Thor. So yeah, so if you buy her, you're gonna get the head, cape, and weapon of Odin. If you buy Captain Marvel, you'll get the head, cape, and weapon of King Thor. So it's basically up to you. You don't have to buy both of these figures to get the Build-A-Figure. So yeah. Overall, this was definitely the one that I was most anticipating in the wave, and I think just about everybody was most anticipating the women figures. Of course, they always do the best, and that's just because I think that a lot of toy companies don't give them the time of day compared to more of the male characters, just because, you know, I'm sure that their sales are much higher with the males because kids are buying them, so, you know, and most of the kids are going to be boys, so they're not going to want the women figures too much, but to collectors, of course, the women figures are definitely the ones that are sought after because they're you know, somewhat scarce, so that's why. Overall, this one is looking great. They did quite a nice job on this figure, I have to say. First of all, going over the cape, which is very unique. I definitely like it a lot. This is something that you can't see from the front pictures, so I never knew, but there's quite a big little gap there in the cape, and I think that looks really nice, I have to say. I really like the way that looks and the way the cape is designed. And it's not like pegged on or anything. It is, of course, the cape completely goes around her neck, so obviously you need to pop off her head in order to remove the cape, so that's not going to be falling off or anything, which is nice. And overall, it just looks really good. It's a nice bright red, but with black wash into it, giving it a quite realistic look, which I definitely like a lot. Overall, I feel like in past times I've had complaints about the way that Hasbro has sculpted their women figures. I think that they finally kind of, you know, found out how to do it and do it pretty perfectly, because ever since the movie Black Widow came out, they've done a really great job with the body sculpt of women. I think that they just found a good sculpt and they're just reusing it, which in my opinion is fine. I'm very happy with the sculpt in general, so I do not mind them reusing it one bit. The hands, I'm not sure if they're completely new, but they're just so unique that I doubt that they could have found a different character to use them with. So I definitely like these hands a lot. They look really cool, definitely giving you that, you know, power type of thing. But it's not so in your face as, oh, I have to be doing some type of magic spell. It could be just her in a really cool pose with her fingers kind of curled like that. So it's really quite a dynamic hand, can be used for many different shots, which I like a lot. But one thing's for sure, you can't just pose her with her hands to her side. You definitely got to give her some type of pose. But I really do like that because it makes the figure much more interesting than your average one. The body sculpt overall quite nice. Do like it a lot, and the portion of her actual costume is actually sculpted on to her breasts. They're not just painted, which I do like a lot. Little details like that just really show craftsmanship and not cheap, you know. So I definitely like that. Considering these were bumped up $5 each not too terribly long ago, it's nice to see that we're getting quality for that price rise. Overall looking quite good, and I do like the heeled shoes. They look quite nice. You know, one thing that I don't like about the heeled shoes is just that they're hard to stand, and especially with a caped figure, they're even harder because when you have her standing up completely straight, the cape doesn't hit the floor, so she'll have to be supported by her feet. And my only complaint about this figure is that the knee joints on mine are somewhat loose. Not too bad on this side, but this side it is relatively loose at the bottom joint. So that just makes it so that she has so much trouble standing up, and that you need to have her legs in a somewhat bent position so that the cape is also being used to support her, and it's not just her legs. Going over articulation, it is great. Really do like it. You've got a ball hinge neck, neck. Because of the large cape around her neck and then the fact that she has long hair, it hinders her tremendously. You're really just going to get a slight swivel, but that's to be expected. She's got ball hinge shoulders, hinge swivel elbows. Even though they're not double hinge, they still get quite a nice range of movement. So I definitely like that a lot. They definitely have a nice hinge to them, which I like. Ball hinge wrists, which work super well, completely that way and completely the other way. I absolutely love those ball hinge wrists, especially with the expression hands. They're completely necessary to have that type of joint. She's got a ball jointed upper torso, which works quite well. Ball jointed thighs with thigh swivel, double hinge knees, and a hinge pivoting ankle. Because of the way that her feet are designed, the whole heel type of look, her pivots kind of suck. I mean, typically a pivot would allow you to put her in a very wide stance and have her be able to standing straight. Because they pivot, they also kind of swivel when they pivot, so you'll have to have her with like one leg back and one leg forward to be able to efficiently use that joint. So that is a bit of an annoyance, but nothing too terrible. She comes with some accessories. These kind of magical type of accessories. Yeah, I guess you're supposed to clip this onto the wrist. I find that just, you know, just kind of resting it in her fingers works a bit better, because unless you have her like pointed down, they're not going to stay. Like, this thing wobbles around and, you know, it really just doesn't work too well. Or I think that you might be able to use this clip as well, but just in my opinion, I like to get her in the pose that I want her in and then kind of rest this on her hands and obviously spend some time positioning them so they look good. But you get two of those and they're sculpted quite nicely. You know, nothing too special happening, but very cool, and they're translucent pink. Little size comparison here. Here she is with a couple other figures from the wave. Here's the Build-A-Figure of Odin and Iron Fist. She's a nice size, obviously in scale, I would say, so I do like that. And then comparing her to the latest Marvel Legends woman figure, we have Miss Marvel from the Target exclusive 3-pack. Using basically the same body. The only difference between them is the arms. She actually has a but a bicep swivel and hinge swivel. Oops. Yeah, so sometimes these legs aren't great. Because of the knee joint on mine, but with the cape it really doesn't matter. But she has a swivel at the bicep as well as on the elbow, which I've always found unnecessary. It's not that I didn't like it or anything. It's just, you know, kind of unnecessary. This one doesn't have the bicep swivel, but has a swivel at the elbow, so it really doesn't matter. But overall, using the same basic body sculpt, which I have to say I'm a big fan of this body sculpt. I hope they continue to reuse it for just about all their figures. And of course, the torso is completely different on her because, like I said, the clothing is actually sculpted onto her body and not just painted. So yeah, overall, I would consider this one of the best figures in the wave. Character-wise, is great. I'm a big fan of the new body sculpts that they're using. I love her hands and the cape, as well as the accessories that you get with her. She's a fun, great figure. I would highly recommend it. I don't know quite how she compares to Captain Marvel, although Captain Marvel seems to be using the same type of body. Although it looks like the Captain Marvel actually has the bicep swivels. So yeah, I'm not sure if you should get this one over Captain Marvel. I think that they're just about as good of figures as each other, so I would just recommend getting the one that you like the character the best of if you only want one. So if you like Scarlet Witch better than Captain Marvel, get Scarlet Witch. If you like it the other way around, then get Captain Marvel. So yeah, there you go. That's my review of the Marvel Legends from the All-Father Build-A-Figure wave, Scarlet Witch. Thanks so much for watching. Sorry about that. Quick thing at the end. I wanted to do this comparison, but I totally forgot. But here she is with her 3 3/4-inch counterpart from the Marvel Universe line of Scarlet Witch, of course. As you can see, they're looking quite nice. The Marvel Legends one is far superior, though. Although they maintain somewhat of the same articulation for the most part, the Marvel Legends one just is a lot better. The only thing that I do like better about the 3 3/4-inch version is the fact that her thigh I don't know, these really high boots, they're actually sculpted onto her costume. While on this one, they're actually just painted. So they did great with the sculpting of the costume up here, but down here, they are just painted, unfortunately. And I love the fact that she doesn't have the pink underbody suits on her arms or her chest there, while this one does have that, of course. So I definitely like it a lot better here. This one is clearly the better version, but just wanted to give you a quick shot. They're both very good figures, though, I must say.